All right, good morning, everybody. This is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Penn. It's the day of the storm, and here it is. It's evolving pretty much according to plan, which is good news for the forecast. The only worrisome thing is still that pesky rain snow line. Let's get into some of the details of this. This is going to be a little longer than my typical setup, but I did want to get into some of the information that's important as we go through today. So let me stop this real quick so you get a good idea. The first thing, you got to look at the storm in its current state, and you can see we're getting a lot of freezing rain even where you see this rain right now. Temperatures are pretty cold out here. The one thing to notice is this very heavy snow band on the backside, and this is what we're watching. This area right in here for heavy winter precipitation. The one thing you notice is look at the temperatures. Not super cold, and I saw a lot of people ask me questions about, hey, how's it going to be snow? It's going to be in the mid-30s. The thing to remember about a setup like this, unlike when we have freezing rain and there's a shallow cold layer at the surface, in this case it's a shallow warm layer of air at the surface, and the air above us is way colder. You go up 800-900 feet, the temperature is below 32 all the way through the cloud base. So as the heavy snow or even rain starts, it actually lowers that freezing line down to the surface. And even if it doesn't make it all the way to the surface, let's say it's still 34, 35, even 36 degrees, it can still snow because just 500 feet above our head, it's below freezing and it's snow all the way down. It's like taking ice out of your freezer and throwing it outside in your yard on a 90-degree day. It's still ice. It takes time to melt. And in this case, the snowflakes do not have enough time to melt because that surface layer is so shallow. So don't get caught up in the surface temperatures. Really, it does not need to be below freezing at the ground for it to snow. The only time you need freezing temperatures at the surface for winter precipitation is for freezing rain, hence the term freezing rain. You can get snow and sleet. I've seen it as high as the low 40s in unique situations. So here's our storm system making steady progress. We'll go right to the model data. And the model data, really honestly, the model of choice has been primarily some blend of the NAM model, the GFS, and the European. People always say, what model are you going with? I never strictly go with one model. That's not the way you forecast. You use a blend, or you use parts of one model and parts of another, and literally every storm, those combinations change. But the NAM has had a pretty good track record with this thing, though it does tend to put out a little too much precipitation, which is a known bias. We call it a QPF bias. So you can see initially this is right around 7 p.m. tonight. Maybe some rain or snow mixing in. Notice there's even some snow down here. So that even though you see rain on this, this is why you don't look at the models and say, oh, it's going to be rain at 7 o'clock. No, just get a general idea. Rain changing to snow. Eventually it changes to snow within a couple hours. And I tell you what, this band right in here, north of Interstate 85, is going to be extremely heavy snow, maybe 2 to 3 inches per hour. And yes, there could be thunder snow if there's enough lift. Let me back up. But you can see how quickly it is. This is around 10 or 11 o'clock. 2 a.m. No, again, don't get caught up in where the rain snow line is. It's close to us, I'm not going to lie, but it's probably right in here as opposed to up in Charlotte. It's very rare that the rain snow line comes north and then goes back south because it's going to be heavy snow or precipitation falling, which remember is going to drag that cold air down to the surface. So once the heavy stuff starts, it's going to be hard to change back to rain without extremely what we call warm nose, and I don't see that happening. And then we go towards 5, 6 in the morning. It starts to let up. The heavy snow's over Raleigh, and then by 7 a.m., some light snow, maybe even some freezing drizzle on the backside, and then the whole system moves out. A lot of questions about convection or thunderstorms to the south. Here's the thing. That's probably not going to be a big player because we've got moisture coming in here. Yes, we've got moisture coming in here, but up in this area, we've got a lot of dynamics that are lifting the air and creating precipitation. It doesn't need a strictly good flow of moisture. It's already going to be in place with jet dynamics and a lot of other things. So you can see how that moves in. Let's take a look at the Schreff plumes. I've shown this a lot with this storm. And again, just for those who've never seen this, these lines are basically snowfall forecast or simulations from the Schreff model. It's a complex model that does 22 separate simulations or members. Each one is one of those simulations. What we like to look at is the average of them, or the mean. And the mean right now is right around 7 inches for the Charlotte area. But you can see the cluster of 3 to about 8 inches is pretty tight here. So I tend to throw out these outliers up here and even some down here. And so you get into that 3 to 6 range. I'm a little under that because I think there's going to be some mixing of rain. Remember, if you're going to get rain, that's going to rob some from your snow totals a little bit. So that transition, that's why this is a tough forecast, because if we get 3 hours of rain versus 1 hour of rain, that could mean the difference in 4 or 5 inches. Because remember, a rough estimate, a tenth of an inch of rain equals 1 inch of snow. So a tenth of an inch of rain is not much. We wouldn't even think twice about a difference in a tenth of an inch of rain, but that fluffs up to an inch of snow. That has huge impacts. One thing that I did notice here that's really interesting on the HPC, or the Warning Prediction Center, Weather Prediction Center, we're in a high risk for 4 inches of snow. That's pretty rare, and we're actually in a 10% risk for 8 inches of snow. So there's a lot of information pointing toward this being a significant snowstorm, and the swath is pretty easy to see. You can see that swath right across northern Mississippi, Alabama, Atlanta, northern Georgia, upstate into North Carolina. This is our classic, what we call Miller A I-85 storm track. Climatologically, historically, all the years I've been here, going on 13, this is the track that gives us big snow. It's a wet, heavy snow, marginal temperatures, but these are the events that give us the heavy snow. So how much am I thinking? This is my updated map as of this morning. You can see I've got a pretty good swath of snow right in here. And again, here's I-85. I'll draw it on our map right there. Right along that, or just north of that, is where I think the sweet spot for heavy snow. But if you look at this gradient, northern Mecklenburg County is in the 6 to 8, and parts of the southern Valentine area in southern Pineville and southern Mecklenburg are in the 2 to 4 range. So let's take the low and high end. You could go from 2 to 8 inches across Mecklenburg County, and a shift of 5 or 10 miles moves that line north and south. So that's why there's still some headaches in this forecast, but this is a significant snowstorm. We average 4.3 inches of snow per year in Charlotte. We've only had 1.3 this year. This is a season's worth of snowfall and then some in one storm. And for that reason, I've actually lifted the snow meter to a 5, or to a 6, excuse me. So as I was saying, I lifted the snow meter from a 5 last night. I've actually bumped it up to a 6. Not because I think this is the type of snow that no one will be able to move. I just know when people wake up tomorrow and see 4, 5, 6 inches, maybe 7 inches on the ground, everything will shut down. And again, this is one of those types of storms where having 4-wheel drive and an SUV will be an advantage. Not that I recommend people going out. You still need to drive safely, but this is a wet, heavy, slushy snow that's going to be all over the roads, and it's going to be wet and heavy. And if you have a little car with bald tires, it's going to be tough to get around in. You may not get up hills. You're going to lose traction. So heavy, big vehicles are actually going to travel well. You just need to go slow, use the lower gears, and if you have all-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, it'll help. I'd much rather drive in this type of weather than ice. Yes, it's going to take you forever to get anywhere, but if you go slow with a big vehicle, you can get around. So that's my latest thinking. This was a little long-winded. I apologize for that, but obviously, as you can see, there are still many complexities with this storm. There it is. It's going to be, the height of the storm is 12 hours away from right now, and the start of this is going to be around 5 to 7 o'clock. And again, the evening rush should be fine. It could start as a little rain, but change to snow pretty quickly. I'll be on the air starting this afternoon and for the duration, or until I fall over or go to sleep, whatever happens. I'll be here because it's a quick hitter. So we can gut it out through tomorrow morning. It'll be in and out pretty quickly, but boy, are we going to see big fat snowflakes, puking snow for a 6 to 10 hour period. This stuff is going to be coming down, and when you wake up tomorrow, parts of our area are going to look like a winter wonderland. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, wxbrad, on Facebook, Brad Panovich Meteorologist, WCNC.com, the Weathercaster app, YouTube, Google+, Instagram. Hey, if you're on any kind of social media, you can find me. I'll see you today starting on NBC Charlotte at about 3 o'clock. Have a great day.